1967 Chevrolet Impala Pro Stock MODELMIND 72 Project Mayhem. First rule of Project Mayhem is we don't talk about Project Mayhem. MODELMIND 72 saying, "What's up, universe?" Coming straight at you out of the Wicked Wizard Garage with another episode of Channel Talk number 13. I'm gonna be discussing paint issues. Been watching a lot of videos, a lot of guys having a lot of paint issues, and I just want to let all you painters know that I go through it. I go through it as well. Yeah, some of the misfortunes in paint, you know, I don't think they're ever going to stop occurring. Matter of fact, I look forward to it. Anytime you get a paint job that you don't have any problems with, that's a really good experience, believe me. But most of the time, I have such a hodgepodge of chemicals and this brand and that brand. A lot of times, it's just one big nightmare when it comes to painting my cars. This car right here is I didn't have a name for it while I was building it, but during the process I usually find my way, and this particular build is going to be named Project Mayhem. And the first rule of Project Mayhem is we don't talk about Project Mayhem. Absolute wonderful joy to be building this classic AMT 1967 Chevrolet Impala street machine. Of course, I'm doing my take on it. Got the doors opened up, got the trunk opened up, and the build itself, I mean, so far it's been, it's been a wonderful experience. The paint, on the other hand, on this one has been very challenging. All right, what we're going to do is kind of mock up 67. Project Mayhem. We're going to kind of mock it up a little bit here for your viewing pleasure. This is a scratch built chassis. The back tubs came from a Pro Sportsman. I usually I've used them to mold tubs, other tubs, like straight strips of styrene, but for some reason I just grabbed them out of the parts box and started building on to the chassis and stretched it out, because this is a really long car. But went with the 1957 AMT gasser rear Goodyear drag slicks. That's some of my favorite rear ends. The mags came out of an old 1955 Pro Sportsman, one of the old ones. The rear rims came out of that kit a long time ago. But the chassis was sprayed with a I want to say a silver Rust-Oleum. I really haven't had any problem with the chassis so far. The roll bar was painted in a gloss black. I want to say Krylon. I want to say a Krylon gloss black, which there again I didn't have any problem with that part. This is our engine at current state. got real aluminum valve covers cut out of the Stouffer's macaroni and cheese aluminum. I use that stuff for all different types of things. Actually, this engine sets up higher, but I didn't get my little marking thing, so I'm just going to have to go with what I got. I've had times when I've painted a piece and like went in the house, came back at a later time to check on it, and you could see that during that time some insect hit it or landed on it or glanced off of it. That's happened numerous times. But when I was actually painting this model, as soon as I was actually painting the top part, the black part. As soon as I got the last bit of spraying done, I mean, just as soon as I let go of the button, out of my peripheral, I saw something come in to the frame and land right on top of this car. I could not believe it. I'd never seen, like, it was a moth out of nowhere landed right on top of the car. And I before I could even react, and I jerked it, and it flew off, and it was totally ruined it, totally ruined the paint job. The paint, the orange part that I'm using is this Testor's competition orange. Spray enamel 1628 competition orange, and I've had really good success with Testor's products before, but for some reason the humidity, the primer I was using, just the stars not aligning. This little can right here, when I sprayed the side, it looked like the Toxic Avenger, man. I mean, and I know this can, I bought it brand new, but it's been sitting on the shelf for a while. And there again, what I'm trying to stress is, between old paints, between different companies, different chemicals, different primers, you never really know. It's all a big experiment. I mean, you just throw it down and hope for the best for the most part. There are certain companies that well, if I use this primer and I use this, that it'll work, it won't react, but that's all through trial and error. So for the most part, if I get a theme about what kind of car I want to paint a certain color, I just look into the paint and see what I got, and that's the number one thing is just grab what you got and start shooting. Whether it's a custom candy mix or rattle can or spray gun or whatever you're doing. And I got at least 4 different primers that I use. So a lot of times it could be one of those primers that might be reacting with that particular type of paint that I'm learning about. But I would say for every paint job, successful paint job that I do, there's at least 1 or sometimes 2 paint jobs that go horribly wrong. And I've been watching a lot of videos of guys having a lot of paint problems. Can you say 1967 Chevrolet Impala Pro Stock Project Mayhem? First rule of Project Mayhem is we don't discuss Project Mayhem. There's been great successes with paint, and then there's been horrible nightmares. And there's so many factors when it comes to the painting process that, I mean, to write one book on it alone would not be enough. I mean, seriously, there's so many things that has to go right, during the painting process, that the odds are that, something's going to mess up, and usually does. But that's part of the chase. That's part of the hunt, is to get that paint the way you want it. This competition orange testers, spray enamel 1628. I've painted cars before in the past, and it came out absolutely perfect. For some reason, when I sprayed this on Project Mayhem, it didn't like it. Now, the humidity was really, really high that day, and it was one of those things where the day was set up for me to paint, but the environment wasn't set up for me to paint. And I knew that I shouldn't be painting that day, but I had set time for it, so I was going to spray. And it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And I really believe the humidity was the factor. Basically, I sprayed the car, and it turned into this Toxic Avenger experiment. And, I had to purple pond the whole thing. So this car has actually been purple pond twice so far. Once with the bug, the flying moth incident on the top, mishap on the side, the Toxic Avenger. I think a combination of humidity, maybe the primer that I was using with that particular brand of paint, it didn't take. What I'm trying to stress here, guys, is painting is an experience, and it can be an expensive experience. Paint costs a lot of money, so you don't want to be messing it up. But in order to learn, and in order to achieve any type of success, you're going to have some failures. So another thing I pull from my paint stash, I really want to get that stuff used up, because that's already investment there. So those paints need to be used up in some project, I definitely believe the longer a paint sits on a shelf, the odds of something screwing up definitely goes on with that when you do decide to grab it. So, one thing that everybody could do is all the paint that you already have, start using it. Go ahead and start trying to get rid of that old stash before you go out and buy the new, can or bottle or whatever. But Project Mayhem is definitely coming along, but it's fighting me tooth and nail on the paint. The build itself is going absolutely amazing, but I'm going super slow and just letting it organically build itself. This model is actually building itself, and I'm letting the paint figure itself out. I was going to go with a totally different paint scheme on this car, and for some reason that paint scheme the model didn't want it. So I scrapped that idea. This is a concept that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I'm actually, when I get the orange and the black figured out, I am going to put a yellow stripe down body line there, but there again, that lies that paint mixing with this paint, messing the whole thing up again. You know, every step, you know, could be disastrous. So, you know, it could be hitting the purple pond again for all I know. Cool thing about it is we do got a big purple pond to throw everything in. Bad thing is it is expensive, you know, going through paints. But I mean, you got to learn. And I've seen a lot of videos with a lot of guys having a lot of paint issues. And my take on it is I have the same paint issues as the next guy. And you know, I'm constantly learning. You know, I've been painting all my life, but I still don't know it all and never will. I mean, that's the whole fascination of paint. You know, it's that's the whole fascination of it. You know, you have your good days and you have your bad days. The main thing is to keep going on the bad days. You know, don't get discouraged. Just keep shooting, keep spraying. Eventually, you know, some color pigment will like its environment and look pretty. I want to show you this door right here. If I can get you a good look at it. I don't know if you can see it or not with this camera, but you can see how we got the Toxic Avenger effect going. I mean, it totally wrinkled up, did not like its environment whatsoever. So, you know, cracking, wrinkling, fish eyeing. We used to call it, I used to go be in the body shop helping my dad when I was a kid. They call it fish eyeing. And, you know, it's always been around. That's the thing to know for the new builders out there, the new painters. You know, problems with paint have always existed, even way back when I was a kid. I remember. So, you know, environment, chemicals. You know, as far as modeling goes, dust is like one of our number one enemies. You know, dust, keeping dust off your model, it's like a nightmare with me. You know, it seems like every time I look, especially when I'm trying to take, you know, pictures or do a video or, you know, it's like, where that little speck of dust come from? You know? Seems like it's almost a nightmare to keep a clean, sterile environment, which when you know, talking about paint, that's another thing. You know, the cleaner, sterile environment you can provide, the, you know, better chances of getting a successful color laid down. But not necessarily. You could have the ideal environment and then the chemicals react you know, differently to each other. So you never know with paint, man. You never know. One of the things that I've learned is you just shoot it. You know, you shoot it and then you sit back and wait. You have successes and you have failures. But you know, in the end, if you continue, eventually you will have success. I just want to let you know everybody know that the subscriber build is, you know, going down. So please go to that video and vote, cast your vote for your favorite, and hopefully we'll be building a model soon, guys, and defying the styrene. MODELMIND72 saying thank you for your support. One thing to note is even with all the issues that I'm experiencing with Project Mayhem, I'm definitely enjoying this build. I mean, this car is one of the most radical body styles that I've came across, and it is really an absolute honor for me to get to build this car. Even with all the paint issues that it's throwing at me, I'm still thoroughly enjoying it, and I get up, every time with enthusiasm to do another level. 1967 Chevrolet Impala Pro Stock MODELMIND 72 Project Mayhem. First rule of Project Mayhem is we don't talk about Project Mayhem. One piece of advice would be to, stick with the same manufacturer, the primer, the paint, the clear, that whole deal. And I went down that route with success and failure as well. So I can't say that, sticking with the same company's product is going to guarantee success, but it does cut out a lot of the chemical reactions that you could have. But there again, when you're a basic modeler in your shop and you look on the shelf and you see a can of, red and you see a can of blue, a lot of times that's your investment. So you want to use that first. And if it works, great. If it don't, then you got to move on. But definitely, from my perspective, I grab whatever I got and use it first. And, it's like I say, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So just to let everybody know, I'm with you, and keep struggling forward and keep moving forward with your model builds. Keep challenging yourself. Keep stepping up your game. Keep taking your builds to the next level. And understand that you're going to learn something with each model. Each model is a lesson and something. And every part means something. So be patient with yourself. Try not, as model builders, I find that, we are some of the most critical people on the planet. But that's because we're so attuned to detail and perfection. We're constantly striving, for this ideal that's in our mind. And I say go forward and pursue that ideal, to the best extent of your ability, your environment, your budget, your skill, each and every build, give it your all. And, when you look back through your archives, one cool thing about YouTube is, you get to look back at your old builds and your old vids, and you can see your progress and how far you've came. I do got a lot of old builds that I'd like to, bring up and show people. So, maybe sometime in the future, maybe I can get to that. But just remember, with paint, it's always trial and error, and just do your best and hope for the best. And, check out all the YouTube videos on painting. If you're doing enamels, lacquer, acrylics, whatever. Somebody somewhere has probably put a video up on about, their experience, and hopefully it can help us all. So, MODELMIND72 saying, rock on, build strong. Peace and love to everyone. I'm out of here.